If I told you that there was a business that generates over $2 million annually and whose success was built on old school grassroots marketing tactics, you'd probably want to give them all the credit in the world, right? I mean, this is a huge success story. Unfortunately, many people don't give the credit that's due because this business operates in the sex industry. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, yes. Today, we're joined by Shane Harrington, the owner of Club Omaha. Now, Shane has built an incredibly successful business from scratch, from nothing. Today, we are going to give him the credit that's due, and he's going to share with us the ways in which he built his business successfully. Hello, and welcome back to Midwest Mindset. There are roughly 32 million companies in the United States, of which 81% have no employees. They're all solopreneurs. So that means only 6% of all companies nationwide are ever going to reach $1 million in revenue. Of those companies, only about 1 out of 10 or 0.5% of all companies nationwide ever make it to $10 million in revenue. If your company or my business or anybody's in the state of Nebraska hit these goals and achieve these accomplishments, they would be celebrated. We would be asked repeatedly, what's the secret to your success? How did you do it? That's not necessarily how things have played out for our guest on today's podcast. Shane Harrington, I feel like you are a man of mystery. I'm excited to have a conversation with you today about entrepreneurialism and your business chops. The success that you built, you can't deny. You know, and I look at it on paper, if it was no name attached to it and no industry, no line of work, and just said, hey, here are the straight numbers. Here's how long we've been in business. Here's how much money we've made. Here's our success story. Anybody would say, man, that's incredible. And it's all legal, nothing wrong with what you're doing, right? However, it has this doubt cast on it. I mean, is that like tough to live with that a little bit? Or is that fuel for the fire to just kind of stick it to the man, flip them bird, just keep moving forward?
Fuel for the fire, definitely. Yeah. I mean, at first I took it personal. The posts, the comments, the friends that I lost because of the business I was in that chose not to hang out with me. Some just ghosted me. Some were had a conversation like, well, you know, with my job and the church and that, you know, I can't, if we were hanging out, it'd be bad for my, growth at my company or this, that. So at first, I was a little butthurt, I won't lie. But then it kind of became a me against the world. And when it's you against the world, but it literally is you against the world, you find ways to fight and persevere, because not only do you want to prove your friends wrong, you want to prove everyone who is commenting and hating on you and says you're this, that, or whatever. Well, the proof is in the pudding. If you can be successful, nobody can really argue with that.
I mean, 51% of all businesses in the United States will fail in their first 3 to 5 years. So majority of businesses are just going to fail first 3 to 5 years. And all these statistics that I'm rattling off here today, they're staggering. It is an uphill climb. It is a battle to get to that top of that mountain, right?
Yeah.
And to do it, and then do it again and again and again, and do it on a level that I think very few businesses see in our state here in the Midwest, especially, and then to not get that credit. That was really my big motivator for initially wanting to have you on. When we started this podcast, the partner at the time that we were having on the show opposed to you being on the show.
I believe it.
Due to some religious beliefs. And so it kind of got put on hold. And I'm glad you're here today, because I do feel like it is unfair. It is unfair that we judge men and women, especially in this industry, who are not doing anything wrong. They're doing it by choice. They make a great living. It is sex is something everybody hates talking about. Yeah. And I feel like
everybody loves.
But everybody loves, and everybody's obsessed with it. Here's a number that will blow your mind. And I want to ask you how you built this. So correct me if I'm wrong. Over 50,000 is it your mailing list or 50,000 subscribers on your website? What's this like 50,000 number that you've built up? It's like a subscription.
Yeah. So we did a membership and people would fill out a membership form and subscribe. And I think actually through all of my clubs, we reached nearly 100,000. But at Club Omaha, it was 50,000 when we stopped doing our membership
But still,
program.
Like, you know how much I would give for a 50,000 member subscription list?
Yeah.
I mean, how much would any business give for 50,000 members of their own tribe?
Yeah, because like you said, it's 50,000 of your people. You can buy mailing lists anywhere. But most of the people on that list, maybe 2% of them actually are interested in the product you're selling.
Go get
for us.
50
we have them
people.
all.
Yeah, go get 50 people to sign up voluntarily for something related to your business. And then, try and take that to 50,000. So when you first started out, I know you are notorious for making the news, which we'll get to in a second. I'd like to, I guess, maybe ask you this to start. Like, why do people love to hate you so much? Like, what do you think it is? Is it your success? Is it the fact that you are successful despite all the haters, that you won't back down? Like, what is it that just, you mention your name and people like, I mean, I used to think I had a face that angered people, but man, I mean,
no, my
you mentioned Shane Harrington and it's like, it
changes.
gets some people going.
I think it's a combination of everything. You know, I got in a lot of trouble in high school. I was voted most likely to end up in the Nebraska State Penitentiary. So prison was where people thought I was going to go. I ended up being the first person in my graduating class of like 732 people to make $1 million. So I wasn't supposed to make it. I didn't have family money. I grew up poor. I didn't go to college. No one loaned me any money to do my business. And I think that upset people because the status quo is that you do these steps to become successful and you don't deviate from them because they're pre-put in our minds from when we're children and we go to elementary school and middle school and high school and then off to college, that you have to take these steps and follow this protocol and be a good person in their mind, them being the church, them being the people who followed that protocol.
They have to sign off. They have to approve.
Yeah, it has
they
to
have
be,
to allow it. It's a control thing.
Yeah, because when I made a lot of money the first time, my wife and I had bought a house in Wilderness Ridge Golf Course in Lincoln, Nebraska, and we lived next to like judges and all the well-to-do. Had a Corvette and the license plate said paid for because I was proud. I was able to write a check for a brand new Corvette, and I remember getting my mail one day, and one of the older gentlemen that lived in our house area, he looked at the license plate and he said, paid for. How'd you do that? And it was just like, wow, like it really is like that. He's probably, looking back, maybe 68 years old. I was maybe 31 or 2. And so to him, I clearly didn't follow the correct protocol and it upset him. So I think that's, number one. And then number two, obviously, sex. People don't want someone to speak freely about it, to encourage people to speak about it, to engage in it, to have fun with it. And those are my two things, I would guess.
And sex is a topic I feel frustrated on a personal level. I feel like probably 10 years of my prime years, my 20s, were just wasted because there was never a conversation about it. There was no sex ed class in high school, small town Nebraska. Parents didn't have to date. And thankfully, they haven't brought it up like recently. But to date, no conversation about it whatsoever. We didn't have the internet. Like Pam and Tom and Lee, the sex tape was like the first introduction to that when I was like a senior in high school. And
we were like, wow.
Yeah. We're like, oh my God. Like, there was no roadmap to follow. There's a lot more information out there, for good or bad, for kids today online on the internet. But it really is frustrating that we can't just talk about it, because I think that's what shuts things down. You say, okay, well, I'm a dancer. I'm a professional dancer. I'm an escort or whatever. You work as a sex worker. People don't even know what that means. I mean, there are a lot of legitimate workers in the sex industry who are they just sit behind a camera at their computer all day long, right? And they just produce content. And so, but there's this stigma that comes with it. I'm curious, with your entrepreneurial start, did you was that related to sex, or what was your first? How did you make your first $1 million?
First million, was on the internet website, an adult website. My ex-wife, she became, kind of a big deal in Lincoln, Omaha, Nebraska. I was able to place her in some magazines. And so she started getting a following. My research told me that, we need a place to send people so they know what she's doing next. I thought simple, like, oh, she'll probably do another magazine. We can promote that. Linked up with someone who said, no, you need an adult website. Like you need to create content. I didn't even know how to barely turn on a computer.
Like what year was this, by the way?
This would have been in 1999.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
So like the beginning of
like AOL chat room days.
Oh yeah. Dial up internet. You couldn't, sometimes it took 15 minutes to get the connection, the whole bit. So so that was it. But we got in before anyone did. We were able to build, at the time, and still to this day, actually, the most successful single girl website in the world, thanks to, in part, to the churches and the city of Lincoln, who found out about this website and attacked us with everything they had. And they ended up ticketing my ex-wife for being nude in a public place. But the catch was they actually didn't catch her nude in the public place. They saw a picture on her website in a bar in downtown Lincoln, and they gave her a public
really
nudity.
Trying to stretch there.
Well, the thing was, it was the scariest thing that ever happened, but also the biggest blessing we ever received, because here's my ex-wife calling me from work saying, the police are here. They're giving me a ticket. They want to take me to jail for public nudity. Those pictures that we took at the, bar downtown, it was Mars Bar was the name. It's not in business anymore. But we freaked out. We're thinking about closing this thing down. And next thing you know, we're getting calls from every newspaper across the world, not just in the United States. They said, you're the first person to ever be ticketed from a picture off a website. This is a huge constitutional issue. All these law firms started calling, and Jay Leno's talking about it. It's one of his jokes of the night, because he has these jokes, and he has a joke about her. She's the little part going across the bottom of CNN. And we're like, holy shit, what just happened? And from that moment on, it just exploded. And then we just outworked everybody. Yeah. We didn't stop. It was like, we accomplished this, the next, and we just kept going and ran until millions of dollars just came rolling in.
And when you started out, when you had like the idea for the website, before the publicity kind of jump started everything, was that like just something you were naturally into? Like, how did you have the foresight to say, you know what, internet's going to be a thing. The dial-up isn't going to suck forever. We're going to be past the 56, was it 56,000K modems or whatever back in the day. What was it that made you say, this is where I'm going to invest and dedicate my time?
Well, I'd watched a show. I don't even remember what channel it was, but I'd watched a show, and it was this guy, and was explaining how the internet was going to be like the next big thing, like the biggest thing ever, like, and he really hyped it up. It got me a little bit excited. I thought he was dreaming a little bit because, look where we are. I mean, who would have imagined? But I knew that she was building up fans, and there was no way that people were going to be able to find us, connect with her. And so there had to be somewhere where we could go and create. All I was creating in my mind was very simply a landing page. I was just going to create a Melissa landing page so that they could go and see next magazine here, next feature, strip club here, or whatever it is. I never thought of it as a way to make millions of dollars. I'd never signed up for adult websites. There was only a handful of them even on the web at that time. So for me, I tried to, obviously look at porn and, do my thing, like everybody else did. But I never thought, like putting a website up for my wife was even a big deal. I thought once I got her in that first magazine, I thought I was the man. I was like, woo, how did I pull that off? I'm Lincoln, Nebraska. I have no connections. And here is my ex-wife on the cover of all these magazines. And it was a crazy ride.
So for what I'm hearing, just to kind of translate this into terms I think any business owner listening can take away something here. The make the news is a real strategy.
Oh yeah.
Like go make the news is a legitimate strategy. It sounds kind of silly, but go make the news and then stick to the boring shit, the routines, the mundane, monotonous tasks that, you want to automate day in and day out. Walk us through that. Like, what are your tips? What are Shane Harrington's tips for making the news? Like, how do you make news headlines in a way that's going to, because it can't come across like fake, or phony.
No, you can't.
Like you're seeking attention, right? But it has to have a kind of a wink and a nod to it. Like, we understand that. Yeah, this is ridiculous that we're on the news for this.
Well, sex sells, and so I think as a business owner, if you're not afraid of that, push the envelope. Don't break the law, but push it right to that line. And any business right now could sit, 10 scantily clad women out front holding up, signs, and their business would increase exponentially. Now, will they do that? I don't know. It's a big risk. People are going to talk about you, but you want people to talk about you.
I can't get one woman to dress scantily clad
pay them
in
enough
my
money,
life.
You pay them enough, they'll come.
Okay. Good. I was going to say, I don't have that kind of persuasion.
You also return every email. When my ex-wife and I were really big, I remember we would be flown out to Vegas for like the Internet Awards, and we would have to go to our hotel room, and people would say, well, where are you going? Well, we have work to do. They're like, what do you mean you have work to do? We've got to return emails. And they laughed at us. The other models were like, we don't return our emails. Our webmaster does. It's like, no, we return every single email personally. We want to know what our customers want, what they need. And we would return hundreds of emails a day. And it was crazy. It took hours, sometimes 4 to 6 hours in a day to return all the emails. But we knew that we wanted to grow. We wanted to do all the things that nobody else was doing. But most people just don't want to work. Even business owners are afraid to work. They want to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and then they want to check out. And it's like, I've never checked out. Since I've been a business owner, there is no such thing as checking out. If I'm on my honeymoon, my vacation, my birthday, I'm returning emails. I'm working still at the same time, because that's how you take your business to that upper echelon that very few people make. Like your statistics said, it's because people do not want to put in the extra work.
Yeah. And it's not just put in the work, because I think that's kind of a misnomer. We think we equate how many hours we worked to the quality of hours we worked. And I think, you talked about the 4 to 6 hours with the emails. Like that was a lot of hours, but you were using those hours efficiently in a way that's going to net a return on that investment of time that's probably 10 or 20 fold, because they're going to be lifelong fans and supporters.
We needed to learn what was going on, and the only way to really learn how people like it's one thing to say, well, people are signing up, they love us, like we're making money. No. Why are they signing up? What picture sets, videos do they like the most? What would they like to see?
You know what you did, those Shane?
Type of things.
Unknowingly, I think you built out, you almost Mr. Miyagi'd yourself back in the day here, right? You built out a legit business ideal customer persona. Yeah. That's what you did, right? You got in the weeds, you listened, you talked with your customer, you got to know them, and you built it out. What are their desires, their pain points, their needs, their fears? And when you can get into that headspace, you know where they are, where they spend time, where they want to be, where they don't want to be. That's where you can really dial in your marketing and how you're going to approach, selling your product or service to that individual, that ideal customer of yours. Yeah,
I wanted to do an automated one. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Like it would have saved me a ton of time.
But there's that
But
thing,
it wouldn't have made me money, because the customer is not dumb. You have to remember, like they're spending their money. People are smart when they spend their money. They want to be getting a value, and we were the best value for your money because we had the best product and the best customer service, both at the same time. It wasn't good enough just to have one or the other. You've got to have both.
And I think in today's, age of AI, it's very easy. It's too easy to just let AI do everything for you and miss the point entirely, right? Because what you're talking about is you're giving customers an experience, right? And that's really the only commodity that there is in life, is an experience. You can't take your cars with you. You got the memories of the experience. And so like, as far as putting in those hours though, like I feel like for a lot of entrepreneurs or wantrepreneurs, I think as they're sometimes called. I'm working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. Okay. And then are you having meetings with your staff? Are you setting metrics and measurables? Are you implementing, like we use EOS here with our company, an operating system for your company, for your business to set goals and just measure success over 3, 5, 10-year plan? And they go, no, I'm just working a lot of hours.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot of people who just want to have a job they can't get fired from.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really want to be a successful business owner. And you can see those types. They're rare. Like those numbers we mentioned at the beginning of the episode it is rare to find that, I don't know, if it's that quality of just constantly seeking, learning, and just kind of, it's like a relentless approach to just never giving up, which I know you have. Every entrepreneur that's successful has that as well. And the as far as to button up the making the news, any other like secret tips you can give us on like making the news?
I think you press the envelope on every way, shape, and form, and that's how you do it. You go against the grain. If they tell you to go left, you go right. You do your own thing, and then you stand out, and people pay attention to you. And for me, the business I'm in, they pay attention to me in a negative light. So then they're trying to get me. They're trying to destroy me, show me up. And so, craziest story I have, I think, from the websites is I got a call one time from the FBI. I was a little scared. The FBI was calling me like, and it was the FBI. It wasn't like a prank call. Like they was legit. And they said, we'll make this quick. Your website was reported to us from local law enforcement where you're from, and that there was illegal activities going on it. And I said, okay, did we do something wrong? And he said, no, I literally wasted 12 hours of my life going through your entire website. I can't find any bestiality, any child porn, anything. And I said, well, that's illegal. What? We would never have that stuff. And he said, well, it was reported to us that it was a very serious matter. And so then we have to go and then investigate it. And literally the conversation was 32 seconds or something like that. He said, I'm sorry, Mr. Harrington, to waste your time. You won't hear from us again. And I thought somebody really in law enforcement baited the FBI into hopefully, because in their mind, these conservative Christians in Lincoln, they thought that this just people having sex on a website had to be illegal. And it's like, no, it's not illegal. And you just wasted this man's time who could have actually been investigating a website that maybe did have illegal activities on it, and he missed it because of you.
And I feel like we have to understand where people are coming from. I'll use this like a minor analogy here. When you're in traffic, I used to get really frustrated, people cutting you off. Yep. You get angry, you get the road rage going. Now it doesn't get to me because I can kind of take a step back and I realize that dude is angry. He's got road rage, cut me off, has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Has something to do with something going on in his life. I don't know. Maybe his mom's in the hospital. It could be some serious things going on, right? Yep. So I have a little bit more empathy and compassion and grace, I guess, right? Yep. Under fire. And I think that's the case here too with haters on a bigger scale. When you have somebody, when we did our comedy television show, Omaha Live, there was a lot of hate, not nearly the hate and vitriol you've gotten because it involves sex with your industry. But, you have to consider that these people who are telling you that you're going to hell, this is wrong, you're the spawn of Satan, you're all of these things.
Those were pretty nice, actually. They're a lot worse than that.
That's all cleaning it up here for the podcast. Those very same people are the ones who are often doing far worse things behind their own closed doors.
Sure.
I mean, how many times have we seen this story play out where it's the pastor who is, homophobic, and then turns out later he's actually gay and he's in the closet and he's battling his own demons and identity crisis. And so I think that sex is an easy scapegoat to just whitewash and just get, throw a bunch of hate at. And I don't think it really solves anything. It doesn't do anything because it doesn't help the women who work in the industry and it doesn't help anybody. With the women who work, give me just an idea of some of the boring, mundane things we probably don't know have to happen on a daily basis at Club Omaha, your strip club. Because there has to be just boring, TPS reports level, just
for us, I don't know that I find any of it boring, to be honest with you. For whatever reason, this was the job that I was meant to do. My mom and I have had this conversation, and she was a very Christian person. I grew up very Christian, went to Catholic church and was confirmed and, lived in the church basically for years of my young life. And we battled back and forth because, obviously she didn't like what I did. And then one day she obviously, as success grew, bought her a new car, things like that. She finally was like, you know what? I still don't like what you do, but you're damn good at it. And my mom doesn't cuss, so damn is like actually a cuss word for her. So it was her way of like letting me know that I accept it because I see that this is who you are. So for me, I don't really find the job itself boring in any way. What I mean
by it is like there has to be a moment. This is what I'm envisioning in my head, like where you're sitting there and you have to get a clipboard out. You got like your Walgreens like readers, because we're probably about the same age. So let's be honest, you got to have the readers.
Squint. I haven't sucked down to the Walgreens readers yet.
And you have the clipboard. You bust out like the printed off Excel form that's got like everybody's names. So for like attendance for the night, and you're like, all right, Barbie here, Mercedes here.
I guess I would say
like there has to be Daytona. Where's Daytona? Is she late again? All right, that's it.
Yeah. Our girls are independent contractors, so they literally can come and go as they please. So that there isn't a lot. I don't have very many employees because none of the girls are actually employed by me. I would say the part, I guess, that I would dislike the most is just paperwork in general. We're constantly changing, adjusting, and adapting our contracts to fit new laws, new rules at the club. There's constantly a girl that's doing something you never thought could be done. Like, oh, we never thought about that. We better add that into the contract too. So when that happens, I have to redo the contract, and then I have to have all of them sign it again. And so we have to read through, to be legal, you have to read through every single line. We have about a 4-page contract, and there's a lot of initialing and things like that. So it's probably about every 2-3 months that we're printing out a new contract.
Like that's
with
the
new
kind
things.
of stuff.
And that's the part.
Stuff,
yeah, that's the part that's the hardest for me. Is it's like it's so repetitious to what I already did, and I feel like sort of a waste of time. I mean, obviously you have to do your legal work, but it becomes a bit much. And even for the girls, they're like, another contract? I'm like, well, so-and-so decided to do, and we never thought about that. So it wasn't in the contract because you the one thing about this job is no night is the same as the next night. And in a way that you just can't even fathom. Like every time you think you've seen the craziest thing or heard the dumbest thing, it's like the next night just blows you away and you're like, oh yeah, I can't say that anymore. Cause you just know, tonight we have, Toy Show Wednesday tonight will be really busy and something crazy will happen. But it's what makes the job so fun is you really never know what's going to happen. So you don't get that lull so much. And then I also believe in the jobs that I don't like generally are the jobs that I'm not as good at. So then you hire people for those jobs. You
delegate those tasks out.
Half of my success is being able to train, hire, and put the best people in the best positions that they're good at, so that I have the best at this. So, my team is really, what's taken me to the next level. In the website time, my wife and my ex-wife and I, at the time, we did everything ourselves, like literally, like we almost killed ourselves. We were working 120 hours a week type shit, but we did make a lot of money. I don't have any regrets for it, but I learned a lot then moving into this phase of my life and into the new business being the gentlemen's clubs. You hire great people, and then once they prove to be great, you pay them a great amount of money. So now I overpay all of my people, if that's even a term. I sometimes feel like that undermines their abilities when you say overpay, but comparative to any other gentleman's club, I pay significantly more to all of my staff. And I do that because they make me look good. They make my job easier. So as I've gotten older, I've gotten smarter, which we all should, I hope. You get wiser, smarter. And so for me, my slogan on life is teamwork makes the dream work. And my team is stronger than anyone. I don't care. Any strip club in the whole country, I put my team against them and we smoke them every single day. I don't care if you're the biggest strip club in the world. No, we still smoke you.
I don't know. You say that. You're just lucky though that the original Chippendales is not still open, because they may give you a run for your money.
Yeah.
But you're right. These are some of the basic building blocks for any successful business. You want to bring in the right people, build the right team. You have to surround yourself with a leadership team too, like you're talking about, not just people you give orders to, people who can step up and lead. And, it's taken us time. I think I would compare like your two different timeline trajectories, but like your go at the website and kind of just the Wild West at the time was how we did it with Omaha Live. And it was like, I didn't even know what an entrepreneur was, let alone how to spell one. I didn't have any hours or any consistency. It was just, late nights, all-nighters, drugs, just bad, all around bad, right?
Yeah, it was a party. And, that's how we were.
But looking back on it, there was a lot that I learned by doing it the wrong way. Yeah. And so now I can apply that today and like, okay, I'm going to pause. I'm going to take time to really find and build the right team and build this team that now, like you said, we have a team here as well, where it's like, we are really performing at a high level, and this team has come together in both leadership and in execution. And so I think that's important to be willing to delegate. Yeah. Good rule I kind of learned is like, if they can do it 80% as good as you, then let them do it. Yeah,
exactly. No one's ever going to be like, when it's your business, no one's ever going to quite work it as hard or as thorough as you would. But if you, like you said, if they're at 80%, you thank them and let them run with it.
Or in the case of, our production director, Myerden, who's producing the show right now, 22%, you gotta, no, I'm kidding. He does a great job. He's probably like 95, 96%,
honest. But sometimes you get really lucky. And, I have a lawyer and my lawyer is like 100%. And I'll pay this guy until the day I die, because he helped me on the one thing that I could not do at all. Legally, you cannot represent yourself, not against city, state, governors, mayors, city council, the police chief. You need a good lawyer. You need somebody who will grind for you, who will fight for you no matter what gets thrown at them. And for me, that's where that whole teamwork thing, he introduced me to. I need somebody that's good. I need to pay them well. And if I do, and they do their job, I'm going to succeed and I'm going to make it. And he kind of helped get me over that hump, but also, like I said, taught me that valuable lesson that if you put the right team together and we're all working for the same common goal, there's no limit to what we can do. So I pay a lot of my guys on bonuses too. So you get a great hourly wage, don't get me wrong, but you also get a bonus. Every time we do something great, everybody gets paid.
It's extra. A team win.
Yep. Yeah. So then everyone's fighting to break records. Like if we break a record on privates, or we break a record for the night, or for a Wednesday, or for it's everybody gets paid extra. And I think that really changed the whole game for me. Because it's like, if we don't do well, they get paid good still, but they don't get that bonus. You start getting used to that bonus, and you're like, shoot, we can make that again and again and again. And when we're all working together, we've broken, I would say, upwards of 100 records in just the last year. Wow. So it's like we break a record and we think like, oh man, we can't do any better than that. And it's just like, nope, we did better and better and better. And everybody's kind of gotten high on the bonuses, like, no, I want to keep getting these bonuses. We can keep doing better, and we just all keep pushing. Yeah.
I mean, you want your team excited. You want to get them motivated, and that has to come from inside. It can't just be a forced external thing. Yep. The drivers for solving any problem, you have your internal, I need money. Yep. Or external, your internal, like, I really want this bonus so I can show up my neighbor Todd. And philosophical is the one people forget often. And that's where you're a part of something bigger than yourself. Yeah. So George Lucas, pride in it. Yeah, George Lucas said like free pizza and beer is more effective than any 6-figure salary you can give. Yeah. I mean, people love just that that camaraderie, that teamwork, and that, being a part of something bigger than themselves.
Yeah.
As we kind of wrap up here, like, what is the biggest misconception about yourself, and what would be like your single greatest tip for an entrepreneur or business owner right now? Because we've talked a lot of different things that we talk about a lot on this podcast, but it's interesting through your lens how they are identical. They mirror each other because you're a business.
Yeah,
it's a legitimate business.
What we do.
I know.
We pay taxes and do the whole bit.
And I think people forget. They're like, oh, it's not a business.
Yeah, if they knew how much I was paying in sales tax every month and income tax every year, they would say, oh, wow.
You're probably paying for those like schools and churches that, they're protesting you.
Yeah, it's crazy. And
so what's the biggest misconception about you today that you still feel lingers on?
I don't know if you can ever shake like the creepy strip club guy, like that. That's just because there are so many of them. People always say, like, do you feel like you were unfairly treated? Well, of course I did. My civil rights were violated, and I proved that in court. But I understand why sometimes. Now, I don't understand the churches and things like that, but I understand that you see those 60 Minutes and 20/20 specials, and they are about the creepy strip club owner who was hooking his girls on drugs and was prostituting them out and was encouraging underage girls to drink and things like that. That is kind of how that name or that thing got associated, obviously, with us. They not just were an easy target because they were in a business that people didn't like. They actually held true to exactly what people thought they were. They actually were.
Some people earned the reputation.
Yeah, and it was
which is unfair to other people who may be doing it a different way.
Well, it's actually what made me get in the strip club business. So my ex-wife would feature, when she became very well known, she would feature all over the country. Strip clubs would hire her to come in, and I obviously met them because I work hand in hand with her. I did all her contracts and everything, and almost all of them were complete pieces of shit.
Really?
Yeah, they were sleeping with 17 different girls. They were partying every night with them. They were getting drunk and doing coke in the bathroom with the customers and things like that.
Sounds like a normal day here at our studio.
So what I thought was, I at that time I had a lot of money. But I thought, if I ever decide to go into a different business, I'm going to go into the strip club business, and I'm going to try to run it as close to a Fortune 500 company as you can. We're going to have contracts and rules and regulations, and everyone's going to follow them, from me to security to the dancers to whatever. And when I would tell this to owners, they'd just laugh at me. I'd say, oh, you're dreaming. Can't be done. You don't know these girls. They'll screw you over in a second, blah, 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 blah. I said, no. I really think you can create a more positive environment. Sure, it may be harder to get your staff of girls that follow that protocol, but I believe if you do it, you will reap the benefits for years to come. And so when I decided to get in the business, that was my thing. How do I help make these girls better? How do I get them to quit smoking, quit doing drugs, quit drinking? How do I get them to build their credit up, to save money, to invest money, to come up with a 2 to 3 year plan? Because I tell every girl that comes in and trains with me, I say, tonight is your first night at my club. I guarantee you I'll make you life-changing money and I will keep you safe. Those are my 2 promises to you. I want you to promise me that this isn't your lifetime job, that in 2 to 3 years, you will then move on to your I call it the big girl job. Mm-hmm. And so I am doing things as good as possible. I look in the mirror at night and I feel good about who I am. I feel good about the changes that I've made in my girls. I can't fix them all? No, of course not. Do all of them listen to my investing tips and not drink and things like that? No. But I would say I probably have somewhere around a 30 to 40% of them actually follow through and come up with a escape plan, so to speak. They go to school, they pay off their bills, they buy a car, they get an apartment. We help them do all of that. We'll do reference letters. We'll do income verification letters. We'll even call the apartment complex on the phone and I'll speak to them directly. No other business is doing that. No other strip club is, but no other business is probably doing that.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. And I think that's admirable to hear that you're doing. And I'm glad that you shared that, because it's interesting. We talked about the churches and these groups who have this moral motivation.
Yeah.
It's against our values, what they're doing over here. Where are they in helping young women who maybe need some guidance, who maybe they are dancing or stripping and it's because they're desperate for money, but it isn't what they want to do their whole lives? Where are they actually in stepping up to help them? Instead, they're just casting a stone. And I remember this because our dad's a pastor, so grew up in the church. And I remember, there's a reason that the first person that Jesus revealed himself to was a prostitute in the town. Very first person.
Yeah.
And I think,
Magdalene.
it's like people in these organizations who get high and mighty and they feel like, I'm just going to cast the first stone and judge. And they forget what their Christianity, as they describe it, is actually supposed to be all about. And so that's good to hear. And then any last tip you have for for an entrepreneur or business owner? We talked about like standard operating procedures, your checklists, get your processes and procedures in place, make the news as much as possible, and pay attention to the legal stuff. Any other big tips you can leave us with here today?
Learn everything. Know how to do every single thing that your business does, so that no matter what happens, somebody quits, what gets sick, you can literally cover anything, whether it's fix the computer, DJ, plunge a toilet, whatever it is, you need to know how to do it. You'll go a lot further. You'll also gain a lot more traction. My girls, when they saw me in a suit plunging toilets one night because they backed up and I got shit all over my pants, and they were like, oh my God, nope, had to be done, And so if you're willing to do all of the shit work, as well as take the credit and whatever, well, you've got to be able to do both sides. But if you know how to do every single thing that your business does, even if you have someone better than you at it, go learn from them how they do it, so that if you need to slide by, you can, because there's nothing worse than having 5 people on your team and one calls in sick or 2 get COVID or whatever it happens to be. And then you have to shut your business down because you don't know, or no one knows how to fill in their spots. That is important.
You don't want to let an employee of yours hold your business hostage because they hold the keys. They're the ones who know how to do it. I'm a big proponent of that as well. Like, do every job in your company.
You don't have to be the best at it, but you have to know how to do and manage through every single scenario that your company does.
It'll help you gauge things like how to measure, progress. And should that take that much time, or is are they just kind of going slow? Like, it took me 10 hours to do that. It's taken them 20. That doesn't seem right, so.
The only thing, correction though, there's always something you can't do, because though I can dance, and I could strip, no one would my customers wouldn't want to watch me dance. But if I needed to get up there to buy us some time, I goddamn would be up there.
I actually did this last year, fall. I tried a pole, like a stripper pole, a 20-foot tall stripper pole. Now, they didn't have it hooked up correctly, so the pole didn't spin.
Okay.
It was very painful. It was very painful. I have all the respect in the world now for dancers on poles. That is like, I don't know how they do it. Like,
it's not just that, I think that people need to understand that to be a dancer is one of the toughest things that you'll ever do. You sell a little bit of your soul every time you go there.
It's not really sexual to them.
Yeah,
either.
you crush your body because you're constantly on 9-inch heels, dancing on a pole, walking a 10,000 square foot building all night long
in a thong.
Yeah, so mind, body, and soul. These girls are giving up a lot to entertain you. Yes, they are being paid very well, but I think a lot of people forget, if you put yourself in their shoes for a night and had to give your mind, your body, and your soul the way that these girls do, you would have a newfound respect for them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Or just watch the movie Hustlers with Jennifer Lopez. they lay it out pretty good in that one. I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate you,
and congratulations on your success. And here's to cheers to all the controversies to come.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right? There's going to be more. Yeah. I'm opening another club soon. So
when you get on the news,
keep going.
Next time you get on the news, then we got to coordinate something so that like we can somehow get some like cross promoting collaboration. Get two brothers in there.
Yeah, got you.
We'll come do our podcast from wherever they're protesting you at from the corner.
Sounds good, man. I'm in.
All right.